Hey, it's Maleah. I'm going to be recording our documentary because Miss Kaylee and Miss Felisha could not make it. But during the medieval period, life was all about getting through life and surviving, then getting to heaven. Nothing about this time was made to be enjoyable. People were pretty much just on earth to live, and that's it. There were lots of illnesses and downfalls during this time. It gave this period the name of the Dark Ages. The Renaissance period was very different, though. This period of time, things started to change. Things were starting to be made to be more enjoyable and to make life easier. They finally figured out that there was more to life than just existence, and you should live a happy, enjoyable life while you're here. Today we still live like that. We make things as simple as we can or as easy as we can for our benefit. Life is still made out today to be enjoyable and to do things that make us happy, just like it was during the Renaissance period. We have many things that we can relate to from this time and many things that we use that are influenced from the Renaissance period. Artwork. During the Renaissance period, artwork was starting to be made more realistic and more interesting. Before then, artwork was being made very dull and not very eye-catching, or in other words, just not very interesting. Many different types of artwork were starting to be made: oil painting, shadowing, linear and aerial perspective, chiaroscuro, and many more. We still use all of these different types of artwork today, but I'm only going to get in depth with only a few. Oil painting was made to make artwork have more visible detail to the viewer. It is pretty much amazing on what type of detail they could put into such small paintings. It went from things as in detail in a clock smaller than your pinky nail to a reflection in a mirror. The Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci was produced from around 1503 to 1505. This is a very well-known painting and was done by oil painting. Oil painting is still used today by many artists and for many things, and is stated to be one of the easiest types of painting techniques to use. When research was done, many people said they liked oil painting today because oil paints are easy to put onto a canvas or panel. You just put some paint on your brush and rub it onto the canvas or panel. The paint will not run or move. Creating a painting becomes a matter of putting the right color paint in the right place. One great property of oil paints is they do not change color when they dry. They said it was very easy to correct a mistake when you paint with oils. Just scrape off the paint with a paint knife and repaint whatever it was you scraped off. Shadowing was made to define the angle of light and was also made to show extreme realism in art. There are many different types of shadowing, one being chiaroscuro. Chiaroscuro is a type of shadowing made during the Renaissance. They made this by drawing on colored papers, where the artist worked from the paper's base tone towards light and towards dark using ink, body color, and watercolor. The word chiaroscuro itself is Italian and roughly means light and dark. The term early broadened in meaning to cover all strong contrast between light and dark areas in art, which is now the primary meaning. This type of shadowing was made to make the meaning of a photograph stand out by using shadowing. Chiaroscuro is still being used today. Today, we still use all of these things to make our artwork more enjoyable and more fulfilling. This is a modern-day painting of chiaroscuro, and this is another modern-day painting of chiaroscuro, and this is a modern-day painting of shadowing. Technology. In the Renaissance period, many things were invented, such as a telescope in 1608, clocks in 1797, the printing press in 1440, the toilet in 1596. These things have followed our generation today but have just been improved. With this technology, many things change, especially now. With a telescope, we have discovered things beyond Earth, which has helped us with the subject of science. The printing press was a machine that made things faster to make books and other texts. Today, we use the printing press to print out our newspapers and many other things we use to spread information. We still use the same clocks today as they did during the Renaissance period. They are made with Roman numerals, but they are just more advanced. Technology has changed our world and made a difference in the most important subjects we learn today. Thanks to the Renaissance period, we can discover things and build onto what they have invented in the Renaissance period. Religion. In the Renaissance period, there were many conflicts with religion, people fighting and breaking the rules of the church. Martin Luther, Henry VIII, and John Calvin were just some of the few people that made a difference in religion. All of them broke from the church and took a stand on things. Martin Luther broke from the church because he felt like it was wrong to have people pay for their sins, and for the priests to have wives and children, because that was all against the rules. He was the start to the Reformation. Henry VIII thought it was wrong of the Pope to not accept a divorce, so he decided to break from the Catholic Church and create the Church of England. John Calvin broke from the church because he thought that there was too much of an uprising of violence with the church and too much tension with religion. Religion in the Renaissance period was a time for religious innovation, known as the Reformation. Today, now, we are free to be whatever religion we would like to be, and no one argues with it. Everyone today has their own beliefs. Without these people breaking rules and stating their own beliefs and statements, we may not have been the free religion like we are today. Science. There are so many things invented in the Renaissance period that helped tremendously with science. It helped scientists discover new things then and now. One of the things that were invented were the telescope. The telescope invented by Galileo helped Nicholas discover what eclipses were, and that the sun is heliocentric, sun-centered. It also showed that Saturn and Jupiter had rings around them. This invention helped things go forward, and now, in modern times, it has improved what we have seen. We have figured out that what black holes are, stars, and when something is going wrong with the sun or earth. Another invention that has helped us was the submarine created by Leonardo da Vinci. He had plans for it but never got to build it. With this submarine today, we have now got to discover new plants, fish, and animals, and ships that have sunk into the ocean. This invention has been improved better and has been able to give the world new discoveries. Literature. During this time period, characters in stories and plays seemed to appear more flat and static. They were basically unchanged. They didn't have much of a personality, and many people find it hard to relate to them. Pyramus and Thisbe was a love tale. Throughout this whole tale, neither Thisbe nor Pyramus' personalities changed. They stayed the same, two very love-struck people throughout the whole tale. Their personalities made it hard to make a personal connection with them. As time went on, characters started to innovate by becoming more round and dynamic. They were becoming more fully developed and had many traits, some being bad and some being good, that were being shown throughout the story. Romeo and Juliet were two very relatable characters that many people could relate to during the Renaissance period. This has really influenced us today. We still use round and dynamic characters, but it's just more advanced than it was back then. We try to make our movies as interesting and as relatable as possible. Some movies that have dynamic and round characters that are kind of a modern day Romeo and Juliet are Dear John and The Notebook. Pretty much all of our movies or plays today are made to relate to the audience, and without the Renaissance period, this may have never happened. Think about all the lifeless movies we would have and how boring a trip to the movies would be if all the characters were flat. Gutenberg invented the printing press in 1445. He forever changed the lives of people in Europe and eventually all over the world. This was a huge change for the better. Now everyone had a chance at education and learning how to read. Before the printing press, books were more expensive because they were handwritten. This made it hard for many people to have the chance to learn how to read. They used the printing press to speed up the manufacturing of text. The impact of the availability of information was increased. Cost of reading materials went down, and of course, education was increased. Today, we still use the printing press to print our books and other informational text. Although today's printing press is very different from the process used in Gettysburg workshop. By modern standards, Gettysburg printing press may seem slow, but composers put type together by hand, and a skilled composer could take 2,000 characters or letters in an hour. A computer can arrange the same amount of characters in about 2 seconds. Today, More words are being printed every second than they were printed every year during the 15th and 16th centuries. But this was influenced by the Renaissance period. If Gutenberg hadn't made his printing press, things could have been very different today. The things we have talked about and explained in our documentary were made to make life easier and more enjoyable. We hope that we got the point across that the things in the Renaissance period influence many, many things we still use in our everyday lives and still impacts our lives tremendously today. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed.